Hi, and welcome to my session HP versus Dell Management Pack. Which hardware MP is the best? My name is Jan Peterson. I'm a system specialist at Umeå University. We're located in the north of Sweden. We are a fairly large university in Sweden. We have a 365 tenant with around 200,000 users. And the most part is, of course, students. We monitor the tenant via the 365 management pack. We have 1,500 plus servers on-prem, and 300 of them are SCOM monitored via an agent. The rest are Linux servers, and they're monitored via Nagios and via VMware, since we have the VM management pack installed as well. We run our VMware platform with Dell software, Dell hardware at the moment. So the agenda of this session. First, I will talk a bit about the history of the management pack, licensing, installation of them, and the discoveries and how the monitors work. And in the end, I hope to have a conclusion if which one is the best. If we start with the HPE management pack, we started with HP servers in our environment, and when we set up SCOM monitoring back then, we used the agent monitoring that HP provided. And the functionality of that was that you installed the agent on the server, and the agent created event log entries when a disk failed or something happens with the power supply. And then the management pack trigger on those event entries. We also had an option to use agentless monitoring, where you use SNMP traps to send SNMP traps via ELO to the SCOM server, and the SCOM server then reacted on the traps and created an alert. But the agent monitoring only worked until generation 9 of the SCOM or on the HP servers. After that, you needed to use HPE OneView integration to monitor them. The agents that you used to install were not present to be installed anymore, so you can't use that. You have to use the OneView integration. This is a screenshot from, we have a couple of servers that still runs HP with agent monitoring. They're not under warranty anymore, so we just have them with the agentless agent monitoring management pack. And here we can see that we have the status on the power supplies, the memory, the processor, network, and so on. I liked the setup of this management pack. It was quite easy to set up, and it did the work. You didn't need to configure so many things to make it up and running. The history of the Dell management pack, since we haven't been running Dell that long, I have looked up the history about it. We come in on the second option here. The first option you had with the Dell MP was the agentless monitoring, same as in the HP. You sent SNMP traps to the SCOM management server, and then you could create an alert from that. You had a plugin with option for smash devices for Dell servers to create the monitoring. When we decided to move from HP to Dell, as a university, we don't have that many options on what hardware and so on we can use. We have to rely on what manufacturers are present when we make asking for what hardware we can buy at the moment. But we got a good impression from Dell, and we thought that it was time to try something else, since we have been running HP for a long time. And since we had SCAM monitoring up and running for HP, we thought, how hard can it be to set it up for the Dell as well? Well, it was kind of hard, because when we got our first Dell servers, we set up the Dell Open Manage, which is the same kind of management platform that you have from HP with OneView. But you couldn't integrate Open Manage directly with SCAM when we first set up Dell. You had to use the OMISC, kind of hard to pronounce, Open Manage Integration for Microsoft System Center. OMISC. It's like saying sex laxar in a laxask, 6 salmons in a lax box in Swedish. That platform didn't work well for us at all. What we thought that appliance, it's an appliance you install. So you have the HP management, Open Manage Enterprise, and then you have the OMISC. And what we thought it would do was to be a bridge, so that the Open Manage talked to the OMISC and the OMISC talked to SCAM. But it really wasn't that option you had with the OMISC. First of all, we had a lot of conversations with Dell trying to set it up, and I got the impression that not many of their customers used the product, since it was kind of hard to set up and a lot of configuration was needed. And you had to set up communications from each iDRAC to the OMISC as well, as far as we understood it after a while. So we didn't go that way. We decided to only monitor the Dell service via the Open Manage itself, so we had another view to see the status of the servers. We couldn't integrate it into SCAM. Also, we heard a rumor that they were going to discontinue the OMISC and replace it with an Open Manage plugin. When we started to set up, Dell had a plugin for VMware, so you could integrate Open Manage with VMware. So we knew that maybe in the near future they will create a plugin for System Center, so we can use that instead. And that's exactly what happened. So in February 2023, they released the Dell Open Management plugin for SCAM. And that really turned the table around for SCAM monitoring in Dell. Prereqs. With the HP OneView appliance, of course you need a HP OneView appliance, and you need port 5671 open against SCAM. And then if you run Dell, you need, of course, the Dell Open Management Enterprise appliance. And in that case, you need remote PowerShell open from the Open Manage towards SCAM. Then we come to licensing. And here we have an interesting thing, because with the HP, there is an option that's called standard, and that one is free. So no extra licensing. You could just install up a HP OneView appliance and connect your HP servers towards that one. But since you probably will use the HP OneView for other options as well. You might want to use it for updating firmware and so on. Then you probably will go for the HP OneView Advanced version, which is licensed. And there's, of course, a cost on that one. And when it comes to Dell licensing, to use the plugin part of the Dell Open Management Enterprise, you need Enterprise Advanced Plus. It's always the plus that comes in. It's like when you buy a hamburger, do you want a plus menu with that one? It's always the plus that makes it work. So now I can only talk about the pricings that we as a university have on these products. But in our case, the Dell is probably a bit cheaper than the HP when you add the extra sauces to them with extra dip sauce on a large drink. Then we come to the installation. And here we have the HP OneView installation. And I have skipped the part of setting up the appliance here. It's just the management pack installation you can see here. And here I am at the HP Software Center, and I've located the HP OneView for System Center. And you download that zip file, and then you run the installation. And you see the option below. The first one, HP OneView SCOM Management Pack, just unzips the management pack, and you then later have to import them. And the important thing here to install is the HP OneView Event Manager, and you need to install that one on each management server in the resource pool, so that it can send data to the HP from HP OneView to SCOM. After installation, you can then import the management pack into SCOM. I will exit this one just briefly, and then I will show you hello. See if the console comes up here. It has gone to sleep, I think. After you have imported the management pack into SCOM, you have to make a connection to the server. And I will go back here and show you that one. Here we go. Here we have the management dashboard. And you see here the HP1View Systems configuration dashboard. And here I just enter the IP number of the HP OneView and a username and a password. And then you click add, and it will then make a connection to HP OneView. When it comes to the security and rights that the account will have to have in HP OneView, I will refer you to the documentation. One issue that I have now with the presentation is that we have, since we have moved to Dell, I don't have any live data in the HP OneView anymore. So I just have a blank page here. Not much to see here, I'm afraid. But we'll take a look anyway at the object discoveries and monitors you have. The first part that will happen when you do this is the discovery of the HP OneView appliance, and it will do the discoveries with 14,400 seconds intervals. So after installing the management pack and clicking connect on HP OneView, you will have quite a long time until everything is discovered and up and running. So the first thing will happen is the appliance discovery. It will find the discovery, and then it will move on to find the different parts that it has in the OneView. And here is the most interesting discovery then. It's the HP OneView ProLine server discovery, so that you can discover the parts of the servers. And after it has discovered the server, you have to wait another while until it discovers the subcomponents. We'll move on here to the monitors. And here you can see, we'll move down here to the HP OneView ProLine server. And here we just see the status on the server and if it's okay or not. The same status view that you can see in the OneView. And we have as well then the subcomponents here, the storage logical drive status as well. Move on here. Here's the same screenshots that we saw earlier. And the monitor, I forgot to mention that one. The first monitor that will kick in is the appliance unit monitor. That of course checks that the HP OneView appliance is responding and everything is working as expected with that one. And here we see the server storage monitor and the ProLine server monitor. We have a couple of rules as well. And also one that creates a critical and warning state for that rule. Since I don't have any data in the HP OneView at the moment, I have taken a screenshot from the HP documentation here. Here you can see the OpenView Health dashboard. And it's the same view that you see in OneView with the donuts and status on that one. Actually, the views in Dell and HP management packs are quite similar because they present the same data. Here's an important thing to have in mind when it comes to HP management pack for OneView. We have had this issue a couple of times, and this one happens when you get a timeout during the discovery. And when that happens, if it fails to perhaps connect to the OneView appliance and may have a timeout there, then it will lose all the devices it has discovered under that appliance. So you will have a blank HP OneView then. And then you have to wait for the next discovery cycle. And depending on which level it happened on, you might have 4 hours and then 4 hours and then 4 hours until everything is discovered again. You can, of course, adjust the discovery interval to override and make it appear faster. What we realized was that this was kind of bad when it happened during an evening or something when no one was monitoring it, and we then lost a critical alarm or something that would have been created if it hadn't lost all the data in SCOM. So we realized we couldn't really rely on the data to be consistent every time. It sometimes just disappeared. But you can, of course, then adjust the interval to make them reappear sooner. It's a known issue listed on the HPE page. Leaving the HP, we move on to the Dell. And here we have the view on the Dell Open Management Enterprise console. And if you go under application settings and console and plugins, you will see the plugins that are available for you to install. And here I see the Open Management Enterprise integration for VMware. And here we have the Operations Manager plugin. And in our case, this already has been installed. So I can't do anything here right now, but you will have an option to install it here if it's not installed. And here we have a view of the plugin in OpenManage. And here we can see the management group and the devices on the Open Management and the health. Everyone okay at the moment. And here we see the cycle that it runs when it synchronizes alerts, health, and how often it does, and then a discovery. And you can configure these intervals if you would like. We'll come to that later. Well, I should start with after you have installed this one and you have made a connection to the SCOM, or really after you have installed the plugin, you have to go here to downloads and download the Management Pack installer, because when you make the connection from Dell Open Management Enterprise under console management here, you will have to enter SCOM administrator credentials to make the link between Open Management and SCOM. And what happens here is when you make the connection, it will do a remote PowerShell session against SCOM and do a get SCOM management pack command and list the Dell management packs. And if those are not installed, when you try to add the console, you will get an error. And it was not that easy to find out the error, I would say. What we did was that we enabled PowerShell transcription to see everything that happened when it was doing the onboarding. So we could go back to the logs, transcript logs, and see what had happened and where it went wrong. So the first thing you have to do is download the MP installer here and import the management pack on the SCOM server. There's no other way to get a hold of the installer other from this link under downloads. Here you have the settings for the directory sync interval and the health sync interval and alert sync interval, discovery sync interval, the first one. And we have adjusted some of the values a bit here. The discovery runs once per day, and the health here runs every 2 hours, and alert sync runs now every 5 minutes. In this screenshot, I think we have it every 10 or 15 minutes now. It just depends on how often you need them to be updated. The issue to have them a bit too tight is that it might not keep up with updating until the next interval starts, so you should have a bit of time between them. And here we have the Dell OME plugin installed. And as you can see here, we can see the same information here. We see the discovery, last time run, and the next run time. And we also see what part it has discovered here. It has the servers here, and you can see the FX2 systems, MX7000 systems, and so on, depending on what hardware you have. And here we can see the discoveries that runs for Dell. And we have, of course, here the same discovery. It discovers the open management, and then it uses all the steps after that to discover each component and subcomponent. The same option applies here. It will take some time to make everything appear in SCOM. You can, of course, adjust the levels here as well if you'd like them to happen faster. And here we have examples of the monitoring that's enabled here. Here we have the Dell Chassis MX7000 system health monitor. It will check, and it's the same thing you see here, the hardware health. So it will match the status on that one. And you have also the subcomponents like power supply and stuff like that, and the status on those. I will show you. I can take a look at this first. I will switch to the server later. But here we have when the Dell OME plugin does an alert sync, or I think this is the alert sync. This one is the health status. And here it runs the script. It adds the value to the property bag, and then populates the property bag into SCOM to set the status on that particular object. And here we see the server with the service tag with XXXX, and it says service okay, voltage okay, current okay, intrusion, processor, memory, power supply, temperature, fan, battery, storage, okay. And when it runs this script, it also creates an event log entry at the same time for that particular script. I will exit the presentation here and just quickly show you some logs here. Might want to enlarge this one. Here we can see a script. Let's go to the top here. There, this is a discovery script it creates. It uses JSON information here. And you can see here the discovery data. It's the Dell device monitoring connector. It creates a logs file under the Windows folder, under temp. We can create a Dell OME log file. This is the Dell OME log files we're looking at here. Oh, no, sorry. This is the transcript from the PowerShell we have here. I will show you the Dell OME here as well. Here's the Dell OME. Let's go here. And that's the proxy. And here's the server log. And you can see it just creates a log file here with the temperature and fan and so on. We'll go back to this one. Here it creates the discovery. And you can see it just creates the monitoring class, gets monitoring class, Dell OME server group. And then it creates a hash table with server temperature, voltage. This makes the discovery. And we have another transcript here where it creates the status one server. And you can see here it's the same thing, the Dell OME plugin, Operations Manager. It writes the event log for the status that came out. And here we can see subsystem voltage, rollup status 1000. That should really be healthy then, and so on. And here is also a script that gets the monitoring data here. Server power supply creates a JSON file. Dell server device push to SCOM. It creates this JSON blob. You can see here is a VMware ESXi version, and the status and the inventory on that particular machine. And we had to have, I would say, almost the same issue that we had with HP, with the Dell management pack, is that sometimes it stops sending data and needs a restart to begin to send data again. We haven't had time yet to check with Dell if it's a problem with our setup or if it's a timeout setup error. Here we can see a view of the alerts in SCOM that it has picked up from the OME. And here we have a couple of alerts, system down and so on, and the informational alerts as well. Issues with the Dell then. The first one we came across was the remote PowerShell issue, that the port wasn't open. It had trouble connecting to the remote PowerShell port. And also one issue we had that we could get help to fix via the transcription was that the account we created for Dell to use to push the inventory data to SCUM didn't get the SCUM PowerShell module loaded when it connected via remote PowerShell. And of course, the error in the Open Management Enterprise console didn't say that, oh, you don't have the PowerShell module loaded. It says Java heap error or something like that. So the transcription logging did help a lot for us there to find the issue. And of course, as I said earlier, we had the same issue when installing. We didn't have the PowerShell or the management packs imported, so it was quite a good thing to do the troubleshooting with the transcription. And I would say there's a lot of improvement there for the Dell to have a better error messages and so on to see what happens, where it goes wrong. So HP and Dell, the good and the bad for both of them. One thing that's when it comes to hardware and software is that you don't have a correlation of the physical server and the SCUM agent often. You have the physical server object where you can see the status on that one. And then you have, on the other hand, the monitored object in SCUM, and they don't always line up, so they can see that, oh, the server that has the disk fault is also the server that's having an issue with the database. So the solution here is, of course, to create a distributed application and then populate it with the objects that you want to monitor. But if you have a lot of servers, that can be quite time consuming. One other thing that we have seen that's an issue, and that is the status sync. Since it's not always instant, sometimes it can take hours to sync the status, and depending on what the error is, that could be bad. But in our case, both when we run HP and when we run Dell, we also create alerts in other ways than via SCUM. We create tickets from the HP OneView and from Dell HP and Dell Open Management Enterprise as well. One thing that we also miss in case of the SCUM console, I don't know, you might have some kind of workaround for this one, is that we have set up so both HP and Dell, they create a ticket to the manufacturer when something happens with the system. So there will automatically be a ticket created to Dell when a disk fails. And then the Dell support team will call us and say, oh, we have a faulty disk with on the server with service tag XYZ 1234. And then you're, okay, which server is that? okay, I see alert in SCOM. Could it be that server? Yeah, look at the service tag and then I find it. It would be good if the ticket system updated the alert with the ticket number or something like that, so we could see that this one has a open ticket. That is one thing that room for improvement. Well, when it comes to the end here, it's a draw. I would say that both management packs do what they're supposed to do. They work as expected. They both have issues with setting them up, and both have a couple of issues with the status and synchronization and so on. But they both do what they're supposed to do pretty good, I would say. And we haven't run Dell as long as we have run HP, so we can't say really how it's in the long run will work with updates and so on. So far, we haven't got any updates for it. The version we installed when it came out is still the version we were running on. There has not been any bug fixes for it or something like that. So we just have to wait and see there. We had a couple of issues with HP that we don't really know why it happened, but the management pack somehow made the ELO interface stop responding when the discoveries were made. So we have to go into on some servers reset the ELO to make it to be able to contact it again. So with that, I would like to say thank you. And then if you have any questions, I will be available for taking questions in the coffee or in the Meet the Speakers Lounge. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and please reach out to me if you have any questions.